Welcome, Bruchim Habayim. Welcome to all of us here in the synagogue to join Shabbat Resouled. Welcome to those at home who are joining Resouled in our hybrid community. So just a moment to allow us to stand, prepare for candle lighting. Those of you who are at home, this is your moment to find your candles and get ready to bring in Shabbat with us here in the synagogue. And for those of us here, Sharon's going to come up and light candles. Let me ask those of you who are comfortable to stand. And just a tiny word. This week's parasha is Ki Tavo. Ki Tavo, that we are almost at the end of Deuteronomy, full of blessings and curses. But one of the blessings that just obviously, as you can imagine, for all of us feels very poignant this week as our country is in mourning, and for some of us, glued or at least drawn and compelled by the images of those individual people choosing to honor our late Queen and to queue and journey and stand and be part of this collective mourning. But this week's parasha includes the verse, Baruch atah b'tzeitacha, Baruch atah b'voecha. So blessed may you be when you come in, and blessed may you be when you go out. And obviously there's a poignancy for her, but there's a poignancy for us at any significant death to be reminded of our own mortality and how that plays out in our lives. So just thinking of ends and beginnings as we light candles tonight. We're on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chag le'shel Shabbat. Amen.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Let's go to Lahadodi, page 9. Let's stay standing for the Baruch Hu. Just a moment more. Sit down as we go to the two blessings before the Shema, the first that marks the natural world around us, light and dark, the passing of seasons. Let's say together, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poter sha'arim, uvidvuna mashane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umasadeh et hakochavim b'mishmoratehem barakia, Kirtsono, Boreom Volaila, Bolelo Mipne Hoshech Vahoshech Mipne Or, Umevi Yom Umevi Laila, Umabdil Ben Yom Uven Laila, Adonai Tsebaot Shemo, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 13, let's read together in English. All this we hold to be true and sure. You alone, Eternal One, are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You have freed us from oppressors and delivered us from tyrants. You led us out of Egypt forever to serve you in freedom. When we witnessed your power, we praised your name and gave thanks. Willingly we accepted your rule. Then, full of joy, we sang together. נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. And as always, we join together to offer Hashkivenu meaningful as we think of the prayers that we offer to be free from or protected from famine, distress, war, sorrow. We know that does not always happen. We offer, as we have done for these past 6 months, in solidarity with those at war, Ukrainians at war, but really for all those who have not managed to be kept safe from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol yoshvei tevel. Stand when you're ready, as is our minchag tonight. ata Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevii gula livnei v'neihem, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר מושיע מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, Machaye Hameti. You are holy, your fame is great. We have no other God except you. We praise you, ever present one, the holy God. Let's sit down as we offer Vashamru for Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, Makadesh HaShabbat. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadacha v'yirah na'avod. Together as we offer Modim in English, we thank and praise you for being our God and God of our ancestors. We can always rely on you and feel safe. We thank and praise you for caring for our lives, for connecting our souls with you, for the miracles of life, wonders large and small, that remind us you are here every moment of every day. We praise you, our God, and joyfully thank you for life's goodness. Baruch atah Adonai, Oseh HaShalom. We offer that prayer for peace, for ease, for wholeness in our lives. So just a tiny reflection for us as we take some moments for silent prayer and reflection. We are on the 20th day of Elul. We are working through this month of preparation. Tomorrow night will see us bringing in the Slichot service, the last Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah, if there is less than a 4-day gap. So we have it tomorrow and not next Saturday night. And we will hear songs and music and reflection to aid us on that last 7 days of preparation to reach Rosh Hashanah. And for me, I am utterly sold on the idea that there's no point rocking up with our prayer book when we've been given this phenomenal opportunity, invitation to tally what feels right and wrong in our own lives alongside the prayers that we might utter here in community. We're invited to stand, all of us together, but we are also invited to make that more internal journey into our own soul, the way we live our lives, the things we feel ashamed of, the things we feel proud of, but most of all, for all of us, that sense of what we require and need and crave in however we understand God to be for each one of us. So we are told traditionally to recite Psalm 27 throughout the whole month of Elul. And I want to just share one verse of it because I always think we respond better to shorter than longer. So let me just share with you this one verse that feels so poignant for tonight, especially because we're going to hear Dean remind us of those words of the priestly blessing, Dean and the whole band as they'll sing Yivarechecha. But this line from Psalm 27, Lecha ama libi, bakshu fanai, et panecha Adonai avakesh. My heart has said to you, capital Y, whatever that means for you. My heart has said to you, seek my face. I am seeking your face, God. One generation after another, we know, blesses each other, uses sometimes the words of the priestly blessing. But really, what's happening now is that in these last few days of Elul, as we get ready for this refreshing renewal of this moment of the Jewish New Year, before even we get to Yom Kippur, is that really the Psalms reminding us that we're saying, I need you to see my face. I need you to acknowledge my essence, to recognize in all your divinity the uniqueness of my humanity. I want all the challenges of my life to be noticed and seen, and I need the help to face obstacles, enemies, and darkness, so that I can arrive in the best way I possibly can to be the person I am here to be. Let's take a moment for ourselves. stand for Aleinu. We're on page 20. Turn now to Kaddish. Before we recall the names in our own congregation, we continue to offer this prayer that my colleague Rabbi Alexandra wrote on the occasion of the death of Queen Elizabeth. We in all congregations all over the land are offering this prayer. As I reminded us last week, in every synagogue in this country, the vernacular was used for the first time only for the prayer for the royal family. And in Orthodox services, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and then when those two cathedral synagogues of the LJS and West London Synagogue were created as tastes of Anglo progressive Jewry and a more European version with West London, again, the vernacular reserved for this prayer for the royal family. We'll offer our amended prayer tomorrow, which was poignant in the extreme, both to write and amend, but offer last week. But for now, this is a prayer of mourning. Eternal God, source of compassion and strength, we stand before you in grief and sorrow to mourn the death of our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, who died at the age of 96. During the 70 years of her reign, during which she saw many upheavals and changes, she served her people with enduring devotion and grace, uniting races, creeds, and tongues with outstretched hand and cheerful countenance. You endowed her with wisdom and discretion, with dignity and strength of purpose. In times of turmoil and distress, she sought comfort from her faith and led by example, speaking truth, abiding by her oath of majesty, accepting the discipline of her sovereignty, and serving God, it seems, with humility and intent. She worked with abiding and conscientious duty for the good of all her people, overcoming her own trials and tribulations to unite us as one humanity. whose purpose it is to do God's will for the good of all people. Merciful God, bring comfort and strength to her family and all who mourn her death. Remember her merits and righteous deeds which she performed on earth. Open for her the gates of righteousness and light of compassion and grace. Shelter her forever under your loving care. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. May her reign remain an example to guide King Charles with integrity and truth, promoting freedom, justice, and righteousness, so that all may be blessed with prosperity and peace. May all of us be strengthened by our faith in you, God of all humanity, so that all may live in harmony, friendship, and peace. And let us say, Amen. We turn to those no less important loved ones of our own members who recall their relatives. We remember this evening, this Shabbat, Barry Simmons, husband of Rochelle, and Eva Oppenheimer, sister-in-law of Corinne Oppenheimer. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for a blessing, and may those who recall and remember their loved ones, even those not on this list tonight, may you be comforted in your loss as we say the words of Kaddish together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shamei Rabba, bi'ama divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'hayachon uv'yomechon, uv'hayei dechol Beit Yisrael, magala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam omer maya. Yitbayach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitada v'yitalei v'talal shamei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol berchata v'sherata. Tushpachata v'nechemata. Da'amiram v'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya. V'hayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol b'nei Adam, v'imru. Amen. So as we sit down, and I think this would be a great moment for wine and challah to come round before we offer that final blessing to each other that you can find on page 27. Just to say, we have a lovely kiddush tonight hosted by Deborah, Mary Jane, and MJ. So nice that we have a celebratory kiddush. I'm reminded that this parasha commands us to rejoice, v'simachta b'chol tov, to rejoice in all goodness, and how difficult that is when things are not always easy for us. But we're reminded that on Shabbat, and especially Deborah and MJ really wanted it to be resouled, we would eat together and celebrate together and mark Shabbat. So do head straight over to the Kiddush tables and enjoy Kiddush. And now let's sing together.
Elohim,
So beautiful. Thank you, Resouled. Truly, thank you for transforming our Shabbat. Let's stand with your wine, your grape juice, your challah ready. In this post-COVID world, you have your challah already given to you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'rasavanu, b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava v'ratzon hinchanu. Zikaron l'maseh b'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah l'mikrayei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'ahavta, v'yotanu kiddashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava u'ratzon hinfaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom v'te'avon.